sometimes and talk around problems does not help them. Letting them know, this is the issue, this is what will happen if you don't do this, and this is the situation you're in now. Let's see what kind of options we can find. Yes, I've had way too many conversations like that, but that's part of my job. So
yeah, being honest should be very important part of your work, but I guess many people want to do that, but many people were just scared, or some people try to do that and might have trouble with students, or how would you deal with the kind of difficulties?
Well, I had a student who came to me in the fall, had never come to see advisors in our department, and should have at least a year or so before. But he came to me, and his program was a bit of a mess in a couple of spots, and I had to tell him honestly, if you'd come to us sooner, we could have helped you, find better choices. But now here's what you need to do, and I'm like, and you do still have choices, but he didn't like those choices. I'm like, well, okay, then this is what you'll need to do. And he saw me a couple of times in the fall and walked out angry, both times. But I'd been honest with him. He had gone to another advisor like 2 years before and just took her advice, but didn't come to us to get better advice. So he was angry because he thought he had been misadvised by that other person, and I'm like, but he couldn't tell me who it was. He didn't know who it was. I'm like, well, I can't help you there, but so he came to see me a third time early in the spring semester, and had taken my advice and was in a couple of classes that I had suggested, and was happier. And he's like, this is the best semester I've had, and thanked me for that. And I was just like, that was the first time he'd even thanked me for anything. So I felt good about not getting angry with him in the fall when he was getting angry with me, but just trying to be level and fair, and tried to explain to him what was going on. And then he finally came back to me and expressed the fact that I had helped him. I have made the mistake in the past of getting angry with students, getting in arguments with students, and finding that was not, it wasn't fruitful, and it wasn't, and it didn't make me feel very professional. I felt indignant, that they were getting angry with me, whereas now I realize, they'll either learn or they won't, but I'll just set it out for them, and if I continue to be professional with them, and then they realize that I'm helping them, that it's better. So I've been an advisor for 7 years. I learn new stuff almost every day, but I think that I am becoming a better and better advisor, even though I've already won awards for advising.
Cool.
I think I'm still becoming a better advisor.
Experience makes you, better advisor, or?
Yes, I think so. And learning from my being willing to learn from my colleagues. I also enjoy mentoring new colleagues. I've been put in that role more and more recently, and that's something that I enjoy. And something else that I was thinking of. And like I said, I've been an advisor for 7 years, and it's just been the fastest 7 years I've ever worked, because it's just been fun. To me, it's an enjoyable job to go to every day.
the fun comes from appreciation from students or?
Appreciation from students. I've worked most of my adult life, nearly all of my adult life, which is a pretty long time, 30 years. And a lot of that time I was clerical staff. I was a secretary or some other support staff position where you had to, punch a clock and keep, really meticulous track of the hours that you worked and the hours that you were off, and you had to count that towards, vacation or sick time or whatever. This job, I don't have to keep a clock like that. I probably work more hours than I did as clerical staff, but nobody's watching me or my clock, seeing when I come in and out or, where I'm going, or anything like that. So I'm treated as a professional. I feel much more autonomous. And so the autonomy and the variety of my job are two really big pieces of why I enjoy what I'm doing. And then just the work itself is fun and interesting. So
nice. You mentioned that you're mentoring other advisors. In concrete, what kind of thing you do with them?
Well, we've had some new advisors come on board in the College of Arts and Sciences just in the last few weeks. And so above me in advising, there's an associate director of advising and a director of advising for the College of Arts and Sciences. So they are pretty much my bosses. And so the associate director of advising has asked me to make room on my calendar to sit with, one or more of the new advisors and just, they can, if I have an appointment, they can sit and watch me, advise a student and then ask questions, or I can just, just sit there and talk with them about what I do, give them some of my materials that, that I give students, and things like that. So we spend a couple hours, just discussing the job and things like that. And then I always give them my business card, and I always assure them that they need to ask questions all the time. I'm sure they will probably get sick of having to ask questions, and will want to feel like, at some point I can do this to myself, but there's so many things that they don't know, and may not understand the consequences of. I said, please, and I've seen new colleagues go on after a month or two and not ask questions and find themselves in really, in trouble with their departments, because they have just accidentally, given students wrong information or not enough information. So I assure them, no, this first year is just going to be a complete learning experience. So, you just have to keep asking questions and send me your questions, call, I don't care. Just, I will not consider you, it's like, oh, this person again. No, keep asking the questions.
What kind of questions typically asked?
Well, there's so many policies and procedures, and they're constantly changing. In the College of Arts and Sciences. So they may not, understand why there's a particular rule, or they may be looking at a student's record and not understand, what they're seeing on their particular notation. They shouldn't assume that, oh, maybe it's not important. No, if they don't know what it is, they should ask, so that they can give the student, proper advice. The academic advisement reports that we use have a couple of perpetual glitches that we who are familiar with them know, and even we get tripped up on them sometimes. But we should be able to account for those. But a new advisor looking at it wouldn't realize what was happening on the degree report. So those kind of things. Like I said, they see something they don't understand, they should always ask somebody.
That's great, you ask, you are prepared to answer lots of questions. I guess not many people, most advisors might not be so helpful. They might be just busy with their own work and.
Advisors as a whole, we like our jobs,
Mm-hmm.
and we get along well together. So I would say many experienced advisors would not have any problem at all, answering people's questions. But since I'm one that has been asked to get to know some of the new advisors, I'm happy to help with that. So
Cool. And you said policies are changes so frequently, and what kind of things typically get changed?
Well, I guess not policy so much as procedures. Practices are always changing.
What kind of?
Well, for example, recently, the College of Arts and Sciences has put in place a rule that students who are coming from university division into a particular major in the College of Arts and Sciences have to have a C average not only in the College of Arts and Sciences but also in the particular major that they want. Before that, we didn't have the major requirement, and it was causing problems for students, especially coming into some of the sciences, where their overall GPA might be okay, but they're not doing well at all in that science, and so the science majors or advisors are like, what can we do with these students? They're already flunking courses in biology or chemistry. And I personally, if a student came to me who was majoring in a different school and wanted to change into one of my majors, I would check and make sure that their major GPA was good before I'd even let them in. So I understood why that was important. But a new person might not see the importance of that, or or any number of other changes that come. I've been in the College of Arts and Sciences for 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
I was a recorder for 6 years. I was a transfer student recorder, so I brought students in from the various IU campuses, as well as external transfers, and I was part of making sure students were ready to graduate, and I certified their degrees while I was in the college. And we went from one recording system to a new one while I was in the recorder's office. So I've seen a lot. I have a lot of historical knowledge of what things used to look like and how the changes have rolled over. So I'm a good person to ask as to why this is this way now. What did it used to be like? And is the change good or bad? Most of the changes are good. It's just change, which is always something to get used to.
Mm-hmm. And the kind of changes, the reason why a new person is not familiar with the kind of change is not why you're familiar with these changes, and why new people don't know, they just not diligent enough to keep up, updated with new policies, or what are the reasons for? Well,
because I have seen the changes, and I know what they used to be, and I know what they are now, and we advisors are in constant training mode. We have during the regular school year, we have a meeting once a month. All the College of Arts and Sciences advisors meet once a month to find out all the things that are coming, the new majors and the new minors in minor subjects in the college, and just all kinds of changes like that. And then all the advisors on campus meet twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring, for meetings, and share with each other, the various changes in the different schools and departments. So a new person coming in, they're just bombarded with all of this information. It's overwhelming, particularly if they're coming from outside of IU, as some of our new advisors are. So they don't know anything about IU. They may know about some other school that they went to, but IU is different. And it's big, and there are, 10 different schools within, Indiana University. And so students can get a minor in college, in the business school or music school, or, just all kinds of possibilities that students have. There's just so many things to remember. The bulletin is, if it were printed, it would be this thick. Just the College of Arts and Sciences bulletin. But it's all online, so you have to find out where you can find all this information. So I've been here since the bulletin was this thick to being online, so I know where information is that I would have used to been able to find in the bulletin. I know where to find it online because I know what belongs to what. But a new advisor wouldn't, all they have is the bulletin in front of them on the screen. Where do I click to get this kind of information or this kind of information? And that's just the bulletin. We're not even talking about, talking to students and stuff. So, yeah, so many things to know.
I'm just wondering if even advisors, new advisors, have difficulty of learning rules, how students could be prepared. And you mentioned about the latest visitor of your office. She is very good and she prepared list of things, and how she was able to do that.
Well, the new freshmen get a lot of information sent to them before they come to orientation. There's an office, the Office of First Year Experiences, and all they handle are new students. So they send a lot of information and forms and things that the students need to have filled out and bring with them, so that they're ready to advise. So it really depends on how willing the student is to take advantage of the opportunities, as well as to take responsibility for their own, learning. Sometimes it's just a matter of maturity. Like I said, I've advised 15 students for summer orientation, and out of those 15, I had one, the one I mentioned yesterday, who was completely unprepared, who was not willing to take, responsibility for her own, learning, and she had nothing, and so we had to start from the beginning. She had a few credit hours online, and so we could talk about those. She wasn't even willing to try to decide what major to go to. I suggested that she take a course to decide whether this major was for her. It was an entry-level course, but she had heard about that class, and she'd heard that it was really hard, and a lot of students failed, and I'm like, well, you'll never know if this is for you unless you take this. It's a 1 credit hour course. Unless you take this course. But she wasn't willing to commit to that. So then I had to address other, things that she could take, but everything was a struggle. I'm like, well, this, or this can fulfill this requirement. No. I'm like, come on, kid.
So how did you resolve the difficulty, or how? You know?
There's several majors that she was considering, so we did decide on a few of those courses. She got really excited about one course that I told her that the professor for one section of psychology is like one of the most popular professors on campus, and she had some seats left, and she happens to be a friend of mine, but she is exceedingly popular. Students love her classes, so the student got excited about being able to be in her class, and there were other things that she needed to take. It just took a while to work through each of those things, and for her to say, okay, yeah, I'll take that, or because everything else, like, no, I've heard that's hard. No, that doesn't look like something I want to do. And then she still kept going back to, but what if I want to prepare for this? I'm like, then you should take this class. No, I've heard that's hard. It's like, but will I be behind if I don't take that class? Well, you can take it second semester if you want, and that should be okay. But she just would not, yeah, like I said, and part of the problem was her sister had been a student here. So sometimes those students are like, oh yeah, I know IU, because my brother or sister went here. Okay, well, your sibling might have come here, but now you are here, and you have to decide what you are going to do.
So she is freshman, right?
Yeah.
But because her sister was here, she knew about courses.
Yeah, and friends had taken courses. But sometimes, you can't go on what a friend has said. Their experience with the course may be very different from your experience with the course. So, you should listen to what they say, but take it with a grain of salt, and, and think for yourself. So, yeah.
But on the other hand, you said you recommend Dutch, or that's from previous, I guess, students.
Right, and I found that sometimes, depending on the type of student, a course that worked for one type of student doesn't always work for another one. For example, students have to take so many natural mathematical science courses, and they usually think of biology or chemistry, but there are other kind of science courses that they might not think of. For example, linguistics courses are also considered natural mathematical science, and